A phone that's about 8 years in the making, the Galaxy Fold represents a new generation of handsets. This is one of the first foldable phones on the market, and you can see that Samsung has put a lot of work into this device. Is it worth nearly 2,000 bucks? We're getting our first hands-on impressions right now, and so far so good. It actually feels something that has been well crafted, and there's a lot of attention to detail, especially when it comes to the software. So when you take a look at the handset, one of the things you'll notice right off the bat is that the front display is 4.6 inches, which is a little bit of a bummer, but Samsung said that they did this in order to make the phone easily usable with one hand, so you can easily reach across the display to work with any apps that you want. The real magic happens when you open the screen and you get this expansive 7.3-inch phone, which is basically a mini tablet in your hands. And definitely it is a two-handed device, but there's some cool things that you can do with that. The first thing is called app continuity. So let's say if you're navigating in Maps and you wanted to go to a full screen experience, you could do that instantly by opening the display. So Samsung deserves credit there on the software front. Another cool thing is called MultiActive Window, and the idea is that you can use 3 applications at once. So if I wanted to, I can come over here, I can open the browser, and then if I wanted to, I can open yet a third app that'll come in on the right-hand side of the screen, and you can go back and forth in terms of moving this bar around so you can decide which application is biggest or smallest. So you're doing some pretty cool things with all of this available real estate. Other highlights include a lot of power on the inside. We're talking about a Snapdragon 855 processor, 12 gigs of RAM, which is good for running 3 apps at once, and 512 gigs of storage, although you're not getting micro SD expansion. Another trade-off is that there's no IP68 water resistance, so you have to be careful when you're handling this device. As far as the so-called crease goes, there's been a lot of controversy around that with this design, and what we can say is that it's noticeable. It's there. You can feel it a little bit, especially when you're sliding across the display. When you're viewing the phone head on, it's not as noticeable. So it's there, but I don't feel like it's as distracting as, let's say, the original notch was. Speaking of notches, there is one here for the front-facing camera in tablet mode. There is a 10 megapixel camera here and an 8 megapixel depth sensor that you could use for selfies. Around front, there's another camera. This is 10 megapixels for selfies right there. And around back, you get the same camera array that you'd get on the Galaxy S10 Plus. So that means you get an ultra-wide camera, a regular camera, and a telephoto for 2x optical zoom. So when you put it all together, this is definitely a premium handset, and the sophisticated hinge raises some questions about durability, but Samsung says that this is rated for 200,000 open and closes, which should be about 5 years of use. And chances are, if you can spend $2 grand on a phone, you don't have to worry too much about durability over the next few years. So we're pretty impressed with the design so far and the software. We'll have to see how we can live with this phone as our daily driver. For Tom's Guide, this is our first look at the Galaxy Fold, and this is Mark Spoonhour.